A few years ago, I sat quietly in my living room, staring at an old family photo. My children had grown up, my career was slowing down, and for the first time, I wondered, what happens when it all ends? Is there a soul that carries on as I'd always believed? Or is there something else, something deeper? Then I stumbled upon a Buddhist teaching that stopped me in my tracks. It said there is no fixed soul, no permanent me to hold on to. Yet, somehow, life continues through countless rebirths. How could that be? If you've ever wrestled with life's big questions, who am I really? What happens after this life? Then you're in the right place. In the next 15 minutes, we'll unravel this beautiful mystery together. You'll discover why Buddhism says there's no soul, yet rebirth still happens. And more than that, you'll find a simple way to live with less fear and more peace, starting today. But first, let me tell you a story that changed the way I see everything. 1. The mystery of rebirth without a soul. A few years ago, I sat quietly in my living room, holding a cold cup of tea, my eyes fixed on an old family photo. My children had grown up and left home, and my work, well, it wasn't what it used to be. For the first time at 55, I asked myself, when it all ends, what happens next? I grew up with the idea of a soul, an eternal part of me that would go to heaven. But then a friend gave me a book about Buddhism, and everything changed. Buddhism says there is no fixed soul, no permanent me. Instead, life is a flow, like droplets of water in a river. But here's what stunned me. Even without a soul, life continues through rebirth. It's like the flame from one candle lighting another. Not the same flame, but the light carries on. Think about Martha, my neighbor. At 60, she lost her beloved husband. Martha used to think death was the end, but as she learned about Buddhism, she realized her husband's love and kindness lived on, through memories, through the way he touched other people's lives. That's the idea of rebirth, not a fixed self, but a flow of actions and influence. What's the small lesson here? When you start seeing life as a flow, you feel lighter. You don't have to cling to the idea of a forever me, and that lets you live more fully in this moment. But the big question remains, if there's no soul, what's flowing through these lives? To answer that, we need to dig a little deeper, into an idea Buddhism calls no self. Let's explore it together now. 2. Rethinking the I you think you are. Now, imagine you're holding a mirror, looking at yourself. What do you see? A husband, a mother, a retired employee? We often think I is something fixed, something that never changes. But Buddhism has a bolder idea. There is no fixed I at all. This is no self or Anatta. No self says you're not a rock standing still, but like a river, always flowing, always changing. Buddhism explains that we're made up of 5 parts, called the 5 aggregates: body, feelings, thoughts, actions, and consciousness. These are like droplets in your river. They come and go, never staying still. For example, can you remember the last time you were really angry? That anger felt like you, in that moment, didn't it? But then it faded, and you were laughing again. So where was the real I? Let me tell you about Susan, a friend of mine. Susan had just turned 60, and after retiring, she felt lost. She'd been a great manager, always proud of her reputation. But when her job ended, she wondered, who am I if I'm not that person anymore? Then Susan joined a Buddhist meditation class. She learned to watch her emotions, pride, sadness, worry, like clouds passing across the sky. They weren't her. Through this, Susan found new joy in volunteering, painting, and connecting with her grandchildren. She told me, I've never felt so free. This idea might feel strange, especially when we grow up with the concept of an unchanging soul, like in Christianity. There, the soul is something eternal, fixed. But no self says the I is just a story our mind tells itself. Even science agrees. Psychologists like Daniel Kahneman have shown that our sense of I shifts with our experiences. A common mistake is thinking no self means you don't matter. That's not true. No self is liberation. It lets you let go of things that cause suffering, like regrets about the past or anxiety about who I should be. What's the small lesson here? When you realize that I isn't fixed, you can be kinder to yourself. Instead of clinging to who you used to be, you can open up to who you can become. Today, try taking 1 minute to notice an emotion, joy, sadness, or worry, and let it pass without judgment. You'll feel the difference. But if there's no fixed I, what carries on after we leave this life? How can rebirth happen without a soul? To answer that, we need to explore the idea of rebirth, a wondrous flow of life. Let's dive in now. 3. Rebirth, a continuation, not a transfer. Imagine standing by a campfire, its warm light dancing in the night. You take a candle, light it from the fire, and then use it to ignite another. The flame on the new candle isn't the original flame, but it still burns brightly, doesn't it? In Buddhism, rebirth is like that, a continuation, not something fixed being transferred from one place to another. Unlike the idea of an eternal soul moving between lives, Buddhism says life continues through a stream of consciousness, guided by karma, our actions and intentions. Karma is like the seeds you plant today. A kind word, a generous deed, or even a moment of anger, they all leave a mark, shaping your future, both in this life and beyond. Buddhism teaches that this stream of consciousness can lead you to 6 different realms, from the human realm, the blissful realm of gods, to more challenging realms like hungry ghosts or animals, depending on the seeds you've sown. Let me tell you about a story I read in Buddhist scriptures, known as the Jataka tales. Long ago, there was a merchant who always shared his food and wealth with the poor. He didn't do it for praise, but because he found joy in giving. When he passed away, his kindness planted seeds for a new life. He was reborn as a wise leader, continuing to benefit many people. This story made me think, it wasn't a fixed self that moved, but the energy of kindness that kept burning, like the flame from that candle. In everyday life, you can see this through the people around you. I think of my uncle, a retired teacher who spent his life encouraging students to believe in themselves. Though he's gone, his advice lives on in the hearts of his students, who are now doctors, artists, or kind parents. That's how rebirth works. What you do today keeps echoing whatever you call it. But there's a common mistake I want you to avoid. Many think rebirth is like a soul putting on a new costume, like in a sci-fi movie. It's not like that. Rebirth is the continuation of influence, of the energy from your actions. It's not you becoming someone else, but what you create continuing to blossom. What's the small lesson here? Every day, you're planting seeds for the future, in this life and beyond. Today, try doing one kind act, however small, like calling a friend to check in or helping a stranger. You'll see that kindness not only makes you happier but sends ripples that last forever. But how does this idea of rebirth connect to the no-self we talked about earlier? If there's no fixed self, what is it that flows through these lifetimes? To answer, we'll explore how these two ideas weave together, creating a new way to see life. Let's keep going. For how no-self and rebirth work together. Imagine standing before a towering old tree, its roots plunging deep into the earth. Now, think of the tiny seed that sprouted into this tree. The tree isn't the seed, but without the seed, the tree wouldn't exist. In Buddhism, no-self and rebirth work together like the seed and the tree. There's no fixed self, yet a wondrous flow connects lifetimes. No-self, as we've discussed, is the understanding that there's no permanent me, just moments of emotions, thoughts, and actions blending together and fading away. Rebirth, on the other hand, is how those actions, your karma, like seeds, sprout into a new life. There's no fixed soul moving from one life to another, only the energy of what you do continuing to ripple outward. The beautiful thing is that these two ideas don't contradict each other, they complement one another. No-self helps you see that you're part of a larger flow, and rebirth shows that this flow doesn't stop when this body fades away. Let me tell you about John, a friend I met at a meditation group. John, at 58, was terrified of death. The thought of losing himself kept him awake at night. Then he began practicing no-self meditation. In those quiet moments, John realized the self he feared losing wasn't a solid thing. It was just a stream of thoughts, feelings, and memories, always shifting. This made him wonder, if there's no fixed me, what is death really? John started to see life like a river, with death as just a bend in its course. He told me, "I'm not afraid anymore. I just want to live well now, so what I do carries on meaningfully." That's rebirth. John's kind actions are planting seeds for the future. Science offers a similar perspective. Neuroscientists say our brains change every day. The brain you have today isn't the one you had yesterday. There's no fixed self even in this lifetime, so why would we think a soul is needed to carry on through lives? No self and rebirth together say that life is a chain of connected moments, not something unchanging. What's the small lesson here? When you realize you're part of a flow, not a self, to defend, you live more lightly. Today, try smiling at a stranger or taking a minute to feel your breath. These small moments are the seeds you plant, and they'll blossom in ways you can't imagine. But how do we bring this beautiful idea into everyday life? How can no self and rebirth help us face fear, find peace, and live more fully? To answer, we'll explore a few simple, practical steps, things you can start doing today. Let's keep going. 5. Applying wisdom, practical steps and reflections. Imagine you're sitting in your favorite armchair, soft afternoon sunlight streaming through the window. In this quiet moment, you realize life isn't something to cling to, it's a gift to live fully, one day at a time. No self and rebirth, the ideas we've explored, aren't just philosophies, they're tools to help you find peace and meaning even when life gets tough. So, how do you bring these ideas into your everyday life? First, try a simple exercise I call the mindful minute. Tonight, find a quiet spot, maybe your living room or backyard. Sit down, close your eyes, and focus on your breath for 5 minutes. When a thought or feeling arises, worry about tomorrow or joy from a memory, notice it, but don't hold on. Let it drift by, like a leaf on a river. This is how you experience no self, realizing you're not those thoughts, but the flow of moments. Next, build a small habit. Each day, ask yourself one simple question: what can I do today to plant a seed of kindness? It could be writing a thank you note to an old friend, helping a neighbor, or just listening to your grandkids with full attention. These actions don't just enrich your life, they're seeds of karma, shaping your future, whether in this life or beyond. I think of Clara, a student in my meditation class. Clara, at 62, felt life was heavy after losing her job. She worried she was no longer valuable. Then she tried the mindfulness exercise I just shared. Each evening, she sat quietly, watching negative thoughts pass without judgment. Little by little, she realized she didn't need to be an outstanding employee to be happy. She started gardening, giving flowers to neighbors, and felt lighter than ever. Clara told me, "I feel like I'm living again, not waiting for another life, but right now." What's the small lesson here? You don't need to change the world to live by no self and rebirth. Just small steps, a conscious breath, a kind act, are enough to brighten your life and those around you. Try this mindfulness exercise for 7 days, starting tonight. I promise you'll feel a difference. And now, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share how this exercise felt, or just tell me what made you smile today. If you found this video meaningful, please hit the like button and subscribe to explore more ways to find peace at any age. No self and rebirth aren't just ideas, they're reminders that every moment is a chance to live better, love more, and plant beautiful seeds for the world. Thank you for being here. See you in the next video.